Hey guys, welcome to our season finale review for Dweeb Reviews Invincible, Season 1, Episode 8, Where I'm Really From, and we lost no pace moving into this episode. It just kept building and building and building, exciting. This is Mitch. I'm joined today by my buddy Chris. Hopefully he'll be, this way, Chris, who
What's up?
also
What's
tuned
up?
into this. Hey
Yes,
Chris,
I
how you
am
doing,
super
man?
excited. I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm very excited. This was an insane episode. Like, insane.
Insane. So I can't wait to start talking with you about it. I just wanted for the audience real quick to briefly cover. There's really only a couple major beats that happen in this episode. It starts off right away from where episode 7 left off, which if you remember, the conversation between Nolan, hands now bloodied after having torn the immortal in half in front of his son Mark, and he ends with Mark just getting in front of him and saying, "Hey, we need to talk." And that's where it picks up here. And I think I know from my reviews and those that have been watching my reviews, I kind of predicted this before that really all of this was coming about. That what he was saying about his Viltrumite heritage was actually false, and that's pretty much what we get right away here, where the Viltrumites are not this generous, peace-loving race that wants to spread, technology and community across the galaxy, but instead the an evil empire, except everybody is Superman. Every single person in their army is Superman. And
Yeah.
holy crud, if you want to talk about any sort of series or IP that sets like a difficult hurdle for the hero to overcome, um, Earth does not have a weapon capable of hurting one Viltrumite, let alone an
An
entire
army.
galaxy
Oh, galaxies too. Yeah.
with an army full of them.
Yeah, and imagine how many people they have with them as it is, because they've been doing this for so long.
Yes.
They've been conquering worlds for so long that you can't
And
imagine how strong they are.
yeah, and if you look at Mark as an indicator, they take 17 years to mature to get powers, but then after that they age so slow that I think they said by the time any of your friends die, you'll look 30, or you won't even look 30,
Yeah.
and then he'll live for thousands of years. So if we're going to do a little bit of math on this, I imagine that the Viltrumite Empire has a bajillion soldiers that are all as powerful as Omni Man, and they might as well have just given up. I don't see how they're going to beat that.
Well, here's the thing I'm super curious about, just before we get off that topic, is that, Viltrumites, he's half Viltrumite, and they were worried, like his dad was worried that, oh, I was worried you weren't going to get your powers, and like, I
Yeah.
was going to be okay with it. But could you imagine if he was full Viltrumite, what his powers would have been and how early they would have came on?
Well,
Like, do they come on as a child?
so this episode kind of built in like a little bit of a catch with that. Not really even a catch, but they built in kind of like a safety with the fact that Mark's only half Viltrumite, where he says to Mark, he goes, "And Viltrumite blood is so pure that you're practically a pureblood." He says that
Yes.
to him, like, "Oh no, you could be this strong." Like, definitely foreshadowing for the end there that there's going to be a little bit more. There's actually a chance that Mark can maybe defeat his father down the road.
Well, I compare him to Connor Kent, right? Half human blood, half Kryptonian blood, but
Uh,
the Kryptonian half always takes over.
yeah,
So I'm this the same thing. It's that, and
yes.
it's just, dude, the language they use and the catchphrases they said in this episode just had me like, dude, that's ruthless. There's some ruthless speech. Like, could you imagine if your dad spoke to you that way?
Hey, not even just ruthless speech, dude. I think the first half of this episode was just straight up traumatic. I mean,
Yeah. Oh
bad.
yeah. Oh yeah, man. It's gore. It's
So
gore for sure.
let's get right into it. We know by now, 8 episodes in, that this was obviously originally written in comic form by the creator of The Walking Dead. We've seen that show and how messed up things can get on that show, and they did not. This isn't like the kids' version. This is him taking his same themes, putting it into a superhero universe, and
Yeah.
it really shows. This episode by far is the more brutal. I mean, obviously, the first episode, the ending was pretty crazy, brutal, violent, gory, And then we saw, yeah, with just a couple episodes ago, with Mark helping the Stone Man crime lord, and that
Yeah,
end scene where the
yeah.
Guardians of the Globe get brutalized and Mark gets brutalized. That was pretty terrible. We saw, of course, the episode where William's boyfriend gets transformed into a
Into that
cyborg, and
cyborg.
you see all the violence that happens there. Just the previous episode and all the violence, but this one blew it away because it finally, DC has tried to do this a couple times. They've tried to make spin-off comics or brief storylines where Superman's a villain or there's a villain like Superman, but they
Definitely had
never,
Zod, yeah.
yeah, but they never dared take it as far as
This.
this show has taken it. Where, think about it, Superman, but he's a villain and he's essentially a god. And they always talk about that with Superman DC. Oh, he's essentially a god. He can do all these crazy things. Omni Man shirks off every attack that comes at him, and Earth has nothing to stand against him. He
Yeah.
just decimates their
And what's
forces.
scary is like all the other superheroes that are equivalent to like what the DC Justice League would be, barely did anything until like the very end of that fight.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know you were talking about how the first episode, the end of that episode was super gory, but I think the difference between that one and this one was, it's okay to see, superheroes and supervillains get bloodied up and die, but innocent civilians, it's
Oh,
like it's a whole different part of your brain that reacts to that.
and boy, do we see it. Oh
Oh
my
yeah.
gosh.
Oh yeah, man. You're watching all this, I'm like, oh god, like I can't believe that just happened.
As I was watching it, there's that first scene where Omni-Man grabs Invincible by the arm, spins around and throws him. And it just, past the horizon. He just gets thrown
Yeah.
far.
Where it hits the building.
He
Oh
catches up and then, yeah, hits the building, hits the street. The cars are flying out of the way and actually smashing people. And it's the same thing it's the same theme of what we just talked about, where we've seen this stuff happen before in other comic books, in other animated series, in other live action series. Man of Steel, the movie Man of Steel, this happens. Zod and Superman fight. Superman goes flying through buildings, but they
yeah,
don't show the bodies. They just
yes.
show damage to buildings and property. Cars blow up, but there's not anything more than cars blown up. So you can kind of dismiss the
Dude, dude,
deaths that are occurring.
the best like comparison you can have is growing up in the 90s Power Rangers, man. How many
Hmm.
buildings got destroyed during like those
Yes.
big robot Megazord battles, but everybody was completely fine in the ground. Just
Yeah.
showing innocent deaths, like we've always talked about, is a very kind of taboo thing to do.
I mean, speaking of that, the same, or on that same theme, on this channel, we just finished our review of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. You remember
Yeah.
back to the first Avengers movie where the alien invasion happens, but they've already cleared like 10 city blocks, guys. Don't worry about the damage. We've already
Yeah.
evacuated.
And then the police doing it, or
Yes.
yeah. And
And that doesn't happen here. I mean,
well,
it's so
that's what
bad,
makes it
but
real. I think that's what
yes.
makes it real because, like, if you're gonna have a society where superheroes are real and you go beyond the human capability, you're gonna have your average people, the quote unquote weaker people, dying off or getting killed. Like it's
Yes.
casualty. That's what war is. If you ever look at war zones, the mass casualty rate's insane, and that's what
No,
you're
you're
having in
right.
this world, in this universe right now. And it's crazy that it's socially acceptable in the universe. Like,
Well,
oh, Omni Man just went through a building, killed, four brokers in that big skyscraper. It's okay. It's not a big deal.
the if I remember correctly, the first image that we really get of this, albeit animated cartoon, showing the realities of what a superhero world would look like, a superhero supervillain world, is that episode where that extra dimensional race of aliens that age super fast and fade, because we see them break through
Well,
portals into
I
the
think it's
city
behind.
streets. They're shooting lasers, and when they're hitting civilians, it's not just civilians running. You see civilians running and then get like their arm decapitated, or not decapitated,
Yeah,
but
just
severed by some
severed off.
laser. and like all that violence. That was the first time I remember seeing them actually show the violence to civilians, and then it's only
Yes.
gotten more graphic.
Well, if you remember in the first episode where you see the Guardians of the Globe and they're attacking the president, right?
Yes.
The two twins that are
Yeah.
like my favorite characters.
The
Guardians
Mauler
of
twins. The Mauler
yes,
twins.
the Guardians of the Globe get everybody to safety. And when we first saw the show, I'm like, dude, this is like a Saturday morning cartoon, kind of like Static Shock show, right? Because everybody makes it out, and then at the end of the episode, and then like the next episode, I was like, oh, okay, it's gonna be one of those.
Yeah.
It's gonna be one of those, man. Like just people are just getting caught in the crossfire of things.
So yeah, so crazy fights, crazy damage. Obvious. I mean, to me, and I don't know if you have the same opinion, but to me, by far the most brutal scene is the train scene, where
Oh,
he holds Mark up so that Mark, trying to just defend himself against a train incoming at him, causes his body to shatter and split the bodies of innocent civilians that are hurtling through him. And they animate all of it from the perspective of Omni Man holding
holding
Mark
him.
and
Yeah.
just seeing Mark's arms as he's screaming while the train's hitting him, and they're cutting people in half and they're exploding on his body. It's
See, right.
insane.
Well, so I remember watching that scene. I'm like, it's gonna be one of those where he's gonna get hit and it's just gonna stop the train, and it's just to show Mark how strong he is. But to really show how strong they are, it rips through the entire train.
Yes.
And dude, it's like a hot knife going through butter. It
Yep.
destroys them, and
Yes.
even the people, it's just ripping through. And like, just thinking like the traumatic scene of like just seeing that hitting you constantly, like being Mark, right? So like as we go into this episode and you see that happening, the very beginning of the episode, that talk, it just remind me of like every kind of big superhero father son like complex, right?
Yeah.
Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker, Empire Strikes Back, that big conversation at the end, but that fight where he was just outmatched, clearly outmatched,
Yes.
right?
And
And that's what it was.
you know, um, you weren't a part of this, but we talked about it in the season finale of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. There's certain story beats that Hollywood follows when they write stories, and one of them is that um, when you kill an innocent, you're in on film, your character becomes irredeemable. Or if
Yes,
they
we've talked
are,
about this
yeah,
before.
if
Yeah.
they are redeemable, it's only through their death. They just can't live through it. And when the only people that Omni Man had brutally, seemingly unwarrantedly have killed was the Guardians of the Globe, there was always the possibility that he had a good reason for doing so, and therefore could be a redeemed character.
Or
Because
he was
the
hypnotized or mind
Mhm.
controlled. There was always
Yes,
like an excuse, oh, he
but
had to do this for some type of reason.
after this episode, I think it's pretty clear there is no redemption for Omni Man because nothing but innocence killed, and his mindset doing so, as he says himself, is, you know, we're gods, they're ants, who cares? And
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool how this went because at the end of last episode, I was unsure if he was gonna lie to Invincible and get Invincible to come back with him to Viltrum, like before Cecil and the GDA could
Get to him.
like tell him about what had happened, because the whole thing was him intercepting Invincible before the GDA intercepted Invincible from the
Yeah.
previous episode. But no, he lays the truth down. His planet is, Thanos' wet dream, as far as we all fought and half of us died and only the strong survived, and then we decided to create this empire to conquer the galaxy. And I they definitely did include some scenes there at the end that, or not at the end, but at the end of this fight, that showed that there was more to Omni-Man than just I'm evil, which is good because, too many shows and books and movies have the villain just be, okay, he's evil, and
And just
then
wants to take over the world.
that's everything about his character is that he's
Yeah.
evil. Like Sauron from Lord of the Rings. Well, everything about his character is that he's evil. He has no other
Yeah.
defining characteristics than he's evil. And Omni-Man does. Omni-Man was sent to conquer. has conquered other worlds, presumably, is like a seasoned soldier who has lived for thousands of years. And then in his short 20 years, which is nothing to him on Earth, he created a family. He started to live a different style of life. Having Mark as a son is what has started the speck of change in him. And then now, when duty calls and it's time to reap the planet that he's come for, his own son stands in his way, and he finds at the end, although he initially thinks that he'll be able to kill him no problem, he finds that the task is too difficult for him because of his genuine love for his son, and then leaves, which was cool because now it leaves us on this cliffhanger going into whatever the future holds of Omni Man just left the planet, presumably back to Viltrum, I guess, but he's already said that they plan an invasion, that the whole reason that they send a single Viltrumite to each planet is to weaken the planet's defenses for the impending
Yes.
invasion. So is he going to come back at the head of a Viltrum army, or did he just go somewhere else to figure out his own mindset, his own business? We don't know, but he spared Mark, and really the rest of the episode, and it's actually a pretty good portion because the fight's only maybe 2/3 of the episode, and then the final third of the episode is just kind of the fallout, the fallout from what happens after the fight.
Well, so this really reminds me of, and I compare this series to like the DC series in terms of characters,
Yes.
right? You got that one guy that he killed that was kind of like Batman, then you have the guy that kind of like the Flash. But when in the Justice League, Hawkgirl has her planet's military comes over to the Earth and rules the Earth for their war, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she was a soldier for her planet and was sent there for the same reason, man. Check out the defenses, see how the world is, and report back to us. She became part of the Justice League to do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Omni Man's kind of doing the same thing. They don't think they're evil. They're
Mm-hmm.
doing what they think is right and good, right?
Yeah.
That good and evil is always a thing of perspective. Because he says, I'm loyal to Earth, but I'm more loyal, right? Because he's
Well,
more loyal to his Venturelite blood.
he ends up he ends up demonstrating that he's really only loyal to his wife and son because he doesn't give a crap about Earth and the
Well,
people
I
of
don't
Earth.
think it's his. Well, no, because he says like, because his son's like, you're from Earth. Why aren't you? You've been saving Earth. I've seen you save just these regular civilians that you're calling ants. Like I've seen you just save them. Like how can you not be loyal to this planet? And he says, I am more loyal to Venturelite, right?
Yeah,
Like that's what he's
Viltrum.
more
Yeah,
the Filchum, yeah. Like, that's what he's more loyal to. So it's just
but
that perspective of good and evil.
even though he has that brief line about well, your mom's more of a pet.
Oh, dude, a
It's
great line, by the way.
it,
Great line in his series. Imagine
yeah,
saying that
harsh
to your
line,
wife. Yeah,
harsh
you're more
line.
of a pet.
But I think his words say one thing, his actions have said another. He has shown that he cares for her, just like he also I think we have to reflect on. He also said to Mark like, "Fine, I'll just make another kid," as he was pounding his face
Kind of
in.
just
But
driving away,
he,
man.
his words said one thing, and ultimately his heart and his feelings led to another way. I think that honestly he did fall for Debbie, and now
Well,
has love for his son, and he's trying to push that away to stay in the mindset of the
yeah.
duty bound Viltrumite warrior, but it's those ties that ultimately led him to sparing Mark. And now, going to next season, it's without a doubt, we know we'll see Omni Man again. We know it.
Oh yeah.
And Amazon just renewed Invincible for a season 2 and 3. So we already know they're coming out with 2 more seasons at the very least. Uh, I really like how they wrapped this episode up. I was kind of worried because it felt like it was going long with Mark just being hospitalized at the end because I did not want it to end with Mark being hospitalized. I'm
Yeah, I wanted to
glad that
see what's gonna happen afterward a
yeah,
little
I'm
bit.
glad that carried all the way through to Amber being back in the picture. I mean, ultimately, I've said this before in previous episodes, Amber being a love interest for Invincible is just a temporary distraction from the impending Adam Eve and Invincible romance. I mean, they've
Of course,
that's
yeah.
very clear. They set that up from the beginning. She's a superhero, he's a superhero. She can actually relate to him where Amber can't. It's pretty clear that's what they're going to do with it, but they'll probably stretch it out over the next season or two, like a How I Met Your Mother Friends sort of will they, won't they thing.
Yeah.
But I like that he has a core group of friends that all know his secret now,
Yeah.
and I really like what they've done with Cecil and the GDA because it's realistic. It's realistic in the sense that if you were a intelligence agency like the CIA working in a world where there are aliens and interdimensional demons and monsters and magic and superheroes.
Dude, it's Shield. It's Shield.
Yes,
It's exactly what it is. It's
but
Shield.
with a somewhat nefarious twist because they have essentially in all these villains that they've introduced in these one-off episodes that seemed like a monster of the week from this entire season.
Yeah.
they've they've essentially captured or enslaved certain villains specifically for the intent of, well, yeah, you're a bad guy, but you had something about you that was effective that we might be able to use, like the Reaniman, like the
Yes.
Cthulhu demon thing they dropped on Omni Man during episode 7, like what they showed when they were, rebuilding the
That
Immortal
cyborg,
at the end.
yeah, or the cyborg army they had
Yeah,
all the way at
that's
the
that's
end.
the
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 uh
Animan.
the yeah, Reaniman. Um, so, as it stands right now, they still don't have anything that stands a chance against Omni, which
Yeah.
is what's really scary for them because their hopes ultimately are on Mark. Which that's my final question that I have here, which is Mark, half Viltrumite, although like we already talked about, they throw in that little line about, yeah, but your blood's so pure, you might as well, be a pure blood type thing. But ultimately, the GDA and Cecil's greatest hope for defense against the Viltrumites comes in the form of Invincible and him somehow getting stronger. What did
So
you think
he
of that?
so here's my take on that. I agree with you. What I'm looking or I hope to see in season 2 is, well, he needs a new teacher now, right? Because his dad wouldn't let
Mm-hmm.
him join anything because you need the teacher. I'm going to teach you. His dad's
Maybe
now
the
gone.
Immortal then, because he has similar
No,
powers.
I think, in my personal opinion, I think he's gonna fall under the tutelage of Cecil,
Okay,
right? Because
not the Seth Rogen Coalition of
no,
Planets Martian.
no, Alan the Martian, Alan the Alien. No, even though I like that guy,
I like him a
because
lot.
they sit down and have a conversation. So you're what else is going on? Still in high school, huh? Okay, just regular conversation. But no, I think that's what's going to happen. I think he's going to get a new suit. By the way, on a tad note, I like Mark Hamill is the costume designer. I really thought that was a cool little nod to fans.
Yeah,
Um, I think he's going to get a different suit. I hope he kind of does. I'm not really a big fan of his suit, and I think he's going to change. Like he's going to get really serious because he in his back of his mind he knows like I am all that stands between Earth and my father and the army that's coming because he knows that no one else can stand up to them. I think he will join the Guardians of the Globe and be their kind of lead guy just because of the power. And he's got that innocence to him where he's like, yeah, I can be molded. I can work with you guys. And we all have the common interest of we want to keep the world safe. But to go rewind a little bit on what you said about him having that core group of friends, right? I just thought it was funny that he wears goggles, right? Those little things
yeah,
that mask his eyes. And Amber's like, I know you're a superhero. But when Eve goes, yeah, I'm Adam Eve, they're like, what? We
yeah,
never, like, we
and
didn't. And she doesn't wear a mask at all,
nothing.
dude. It's that
She's
Superman
dressed in
glasses
pink.
on, glasses off. I was
And
like, are you kidding me?
that scene was great because when she reveals that she's a part of the Guardians of the Globe, they're like, "Oh yeah, you're the duplicate,
Duplicate,
the Asian
yeah.
character."
And it just shows like the significance that some people have over others. But my big question about Mark is, will he always be that weaker Ventralite that was killed off
So
on their
this
planet?
is
Is he weaker because of his blood, or is he
so
just weaker because he's a weaker
well,
Ventralite?
so they hinted at this. Uh, the episode where they had the interdimensional aliens that kept invading over and over again.
Yeah,
There's that scene where he's losing and he sees Eve's life in danger and he gets enraged and then suddenly breaks out of the robot's spine, the big mech that the aliens had,
yeah.
and he just releases like a wave of power so strong that it frees him. And that was the episode where they really demonstrated that, oh, he's definitely got like a hidden, untapped source of power. He
Yeah, he's got
can be
untapped potential.
significantly stronger.
Yeah,
So I don't know if that's going to equal Omni Man strength because Omni Man's obviously like top tier, but
yeah.
he definitely has the potential somehow tied to his emotions. We don't really know what, but somehow tied to his emotions that he can release that greater power. That he can
Well,
go Super Saiyan, if you will.
okay, so I call it I call it the Goku theory. Like every
Yeah.
time someone's in danger or he gets angry, he just becomes up the next level. Like
Mhm.
always, he can be beaten down, broken arm, and almost dead, but Goku will always excel.
Mhm.
So
Or
I
actually
call
dead.
it that theory. So yeah, and I think it's just in my what I hope to see is that he will still be weaker, right? Because it's always the underdog. We always root for the underdog to win the fight, and it'll be him plus the Guardians of the Globe, and I'm assuming more newer superheroes that we will see down the line,
Yeah, probably.
and that teamwork will it's going to win this battle versus Omni Man, not versus the Viltrum Army, but versus Omni Man specifically,
Simply.
right? Because that is the big like antagonist villain in the
Yeah.
series right now. Is that's all we care about? It's Omni Man. We don't know about anybody else.
Not yet, anyways. But
Yeah,
I think there's that. I think there's the new potential allies in the coalition of planets, because that one-eyed well, they called him a Martian, but then they went to Mars later on, and he's not actually a Martian. But the one-eyed Seth Rogen alien is powerful. I mean, he could fly
yeah,
across the galaxy. He doesn't have to breathe air. He's telepathic. He fought Invincible on par. Strength for strength and stuff. So there's definitely other aliens with powers. There is the Martians, although they seem to be currently being wiped out by those alien squid characters.
yeah. And
The
all we really
flood.
saw about the Martians is that they were able to kind of shapeshift,
Yeah,
right?
remember, there's at least one Martian on Earth right now that went back with them on the spacecraft from that Mars episode. Because
Yes.
that human that got possessed and left behind, the human astronaut, one Martian shapeshifted into him and then made it back
Yeah.
to Earth. So
I
that's
know.
definitely going to play a role. They've just set it up so well that there's so many different storyline arcs that they can go through, that they can explore to start to build up to whatever their solution to the impending Viltrumite threat is. And I think for the time being, I think we're gonna get a break from the Viltrumite threat. I think it's gonna
Yeah.
be like a season or two before we get back into it.
No, I think the first half of the second season's gonna be building up the Guardians of the Globe and like showing how they've now become the legit Guardians of the Globe, the new team,
Mhm.
and Mark being like just on par. Like
Yeah,
Mark's that's
maybe.
all he's gonna care about. But one of my questions I have down
Yeah.
are, you know, who do you want to see progress as just like out of all the characters that we know, mainly the superhero ones, like who do you like and like who do you want to see progress and get better and stronger?
So
Because I've got two in mind for me that I'm just super interested in.
so I really like Invincible, but I'm gonna not say him just because obviously we're gonna see him progress. He's the main
Yeah,
character. I think superheroes that hold the most potential, Adam Eve. She can rearrange atoms. It's like
it's super cool.
her powers. I mean, I don't know if they've established a limitation on it yet, but
Yeah, they're limitless. She could do whatever she wants.
she can make flowers grow, so she can affect life. I mean, like in reality, you would think she could just turn Omni Man to dust because her powers are
I
turn
don't.
atoms, shift
Yeah,
atoms.
I don't think she knows how to do that. But I think she's gonna be one of the underlying characters that's gonna play a big factor in a battle with Omni
Yeah,
Man.
her powers have the potential for being something crazy. And
Yeah.
then the I mean, I can tell you the one character who I just don't care about at all is Rexplode. Literally nothing about him interests me.
Oh, see, we're
Other than
different, dude.
he's
I love
Jason
him.
Mantzoukas. I like
I
Jason
He's
Mantzoukas,
hilarious, and I love his power.
which is
I love
what
his
he's
power. He makes
Gambit,
things
right?
explode. Yeah,
He's just Gambit.
yeah. So, but
Okay.
like, you could take that, and if you can amplify that skill and make it so amazing, like, look at Batman, dude. Batman had nothing but his intelligence and his gadgets, and he was unstoppable. So you got a
He
guy
also
who's
had
got
karate. Okay.
He's got, yeah, this guy makes things explode. So I'm saying you teach this guy a lot of stuff and he gets better. Because remember, like, again, one of my favorite scenes is like him versus Monster Girl when he just calls her out and he just gets
He gets owned.
obliterated.
Yeah.
But Robot,
Robot is. You know what? They spent a surprising amount of time
dude,
on
I
his
loved his
story.
character.
He was
He
good.
threw me for a loop, man. I thought they were just going to take an artificial mind and put it into a body. I did not see him being a mangled up human.
So they
Did not see that coming at all.
so fans of this series, those that have been watching my reviews, will know that when they first revealed the mangled up deformed mutant robot, I
Yeah.
thought that that was him trying to grow somebody because
That's what I thought at first
he
too.
had just taken Rex's blood, and I thought, oh man, he's trying to make some like new superhero or whatever. And then, yeah, I definitely did not foresee the angle of, oh, he's remotely controlling the robot bodies. And I actually like what they did with him because, they do the whole can you forge him a new body thing, which he does. They make it sound like he's going to do a brain swap, and then they find out, oh no, no, he's just a
It's just a
clone.
clone, and the other one's got to
And
die.
then the Mauler twins are like, yeah, our tech always has it so you forget who's the real one because it causes problems. But you guys aren't going to have that problem.
Well,
And
he said that
kills him.
it doesn't work for someone of your intellect,
Well, they were
and they're
also
genius.
saying
They're genius
originally,
level clones.
yeah, but they were also saying originally that you know part of that cloning mind copy process makes it so they don't remember which one's the original,
Yeah,
which one's the clone, and that was strategically put into place so they wouldn't kill each other. And they were saying, but the difference is, we're identical. You're not, so you're gonna know which one's the real one, which
yeah,
one's the
which is
clone.
funny. Also, it's a cool point is they made him a 13-year-old boy. Will he age or will he not age? Right, because the girl's aging backwards. Monster Girl ages
Well,
backwards
she's aging backwards
because of her
only
curse.
based on how often she uses her power. She'll age normal when she's not using her power, but every time she uses her power, it sets her back.
Yeah, so Guardians of the Globe. Imagine how many times she uses her
Yeah,
powers.
she'll be getting younger.
Yeah, so it's the Benjamin Button disease.
Mhm.
But I think that's super cool. I think that's what I'm excited to see in season 2. The last episode was really cool because it kind of went on just the relationship between Mark and Omni Man and just that brutal realization that he was outclassed, he was outsmarted, and he was lied to his entire life. Right? And you just see him like in denial that
Mm.
entire episode. Like even when he's getting beaten by his dad, he still cannot rationalize, is this really happening to me? Is my
Yep.
dad really, like, one, trying to kill me, and two, saying what he's saying like we're just nothing to him?
Yep.
And then
And
that's when he's got the dad's got the flashback of the baseball game.
yeah, he goes so far as to say, when Ottoman questions him, what will you have in 500 years? It's like,
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, I'll have you. I'll always have you. And that's what that trigger is like, yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. Like we are still tied together. But on the one thing I liked what they did with Omni Man and Deb is that she's a strong female character.
Yes.
Right? She's not like that weak stay-at-home mom who does
She's
nothing.
not afraid of him either.
No, she's
She
not. And I
she
like that.
confronts him like, I know you killed them, and
Yeah.
even knowing that if he's really trying to hide it, he could just destroy
destroy her.
her.
Yeah, and she just they and throws him on the couch.
Yes.
Like you're not sleeping up here tonight.
Yeah.
But and she takes it upon herself to do the investigation.
Yep.
Find the costume. She timed out, which was really cool. I remember you spoke about it in your review how she timed out exactly how long it took for
Yes,
him.
the exact amount of
That
time.
is on point writing, man.
Hey,
That's
so
crazy writing.
that leads into my final question about this because we've talked about the potential future episodes of what's going to happen, and yes, I know that the comic series is already done and we could look it up, but we're not gonna. We're not looking it up. We're waiting for the episodes. This is all new to us, but um, so not including Invincible, not who do you think's the strongest, not who do you think has the most potential, but just not including Invincible. Who's your favorite character?
So my favorite character is Rex Blood.
Okay, I like
And
William.
you like why do you like William?
He's hilarious. He is the
Oh, I like
needed
how he
comic relief.
yeah, and he like uses blackmail automatically as soon as he knows.
Instantly.
As soon as he finds out he's invincible. I'll tell you, you're invincible, dude. Great, take me flying. Like, then you know what, dude? That's like a true friend.
Yeah.
Like if you and I, one of us had powers, and
Yeah.
we'd be blackmailing each other
Yeah.
left and right. Like, so I thought there was I didn't know he was gay. Honestly, that threw me for a loop until they went to the college episode. I just never like they never really played it out.
Well, I think he says in an earlier episode, so
He
you
might have,
must
and I
have
might
missed
have
that.
missed it. I must have missed it, but dude, I thought he was he's great comic relief. He's a great partner character. He reminds me of what's his name from Static Shock, Static's partner, Static's side who becomes Gear.
Oh yeah, okay.
He reminds me of him.
I haven't seen Stack Shock in years.
Dude, I watched it like a couple months ago. It was great. I love that. It's probably one of my favorite series in Saturday morning cartoons because it came from a cartoon and went to comics. It did the opposite of what normal comics did, which is cool.
He fulfills a role similar to Spider-Man's friend, the man in the chair.
Oh,
guy
Ned,
from
yes.
the most recent one. Ned, that's right.
Yeah.
And he's very comical. I think we're gonna see more of his boyfriend that got turned into a cyborg in the future too. I mean, maybe that's even one of the future allies for.
Yes, so Invincible. I think they're gonna make him a superhero because he's been augmented.
Yep.
He can't go back.
And he's really strong too. They showed that.
Yeah. So I think Cecil's gonna take him and make him add him into the thing. So that actually leads up into one of my questions, right? So why Omni Man? Why that name?
Because he's omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient. I don't know. He's essentially a god.
And so we haven't seen. And here's my thing: Superman's got kryptonite. That is the weakness. Because when Superman was first created, he had no weaknesses, and that's a boring hero to watch, right?
But this is the villain. It's okay to have a no weaknesses villain.
Yes, but we don't know what his weakness is. But he got badly beaten up in that fight. So again,
you mean with the
original Guardians of the Globe? Yeah, because we see Mark every time we see Mark fight, he gets beaten.
Yes,
he always gets beaten up. Like he doesn't come out unscathed ever. And you watch Omni Man, and the only thing you ever see is he gets bloodshot red eyes.
Yes,
that's like the only thing that really gets damaged.
He got the bloodshot red eyes because the Immortal was trying to gouge his eyes
out. Yeah, but if you look at every time you look it up on a Google or something like that, he's always got those red eyes, that angry eyes, which I love. It's a great look, and I think it's just funny because the only thing he gets is dry eyes. That's how I equate it to because he's so strong. But the Guardians of the Globe did significant damage to him, and you've never seen anybody till this day do that kind of damage. Even in that fight with the Immortal on the last episode.
Yeah. Well, it seems that they haven't added a kryptonite weakness. I mean, maybe they have. They just haven't introduced one yet. But
remember Cecil, they're trying to take the blood and see what they can do.
They're trying to find something. Anything. So they haven't added a kryptonite weakness, but they have made him lesser than Superman, really, because he can be hurt. And
yes,
Superman, we all, even if you look at the Death of Superman comic where he fights Doomsday and he's killed without kryptonite, you know, the main takeaway from that comic is that Superman can't be killed because ultimately his heart just restarts beating because of his close proximity to a yellow sun, and that as long as he's close to a yellow sun, he just straight up can't
Yeah,
die, period.
that's
Invincible, at the very
awesome.
least, I mean, maybe they can't die. Invincible has been dealt like fatal injuries that he's
Oh
always
yeah.
recovered from, but as of right now, presumably if there's just enough, or just a strong enough opponent, a Viltrumite can die. But maybe not because
Well, they
Omni
kill each
Man
other.
doesn't
They did
step
kill each
in,
other, so
huh?
they did kill each other. Remember, they wiped off half their planet. So
That's true. You know what? You're right. So ultimately, they can be killed. I just thought maybe not because Omni Man doesn't step in when Invincible's being beat to death by that lion with the mace, and he's hanging out outside. So ultimately, he wasn't
yeah,
worried.
dude, that just shows cynicism, right?
Yeah.
Truly, when you're watching that episode. But and another question I have is, what? So, what was your favorite part of the last episode, and favorite gore part? So two-part question.
Okay.
What was your favorite part of the episode?
So
And because there's a lot of gore in this episode, that favorite gore
the
part.
the most traumatic, gory part for me was, um, well, of gore, the train scene because it's just disgusting, brutal, disgusting. But the most traumatic scene is when he's trying to hold up the building and he's holding the mom and there's the young girl there asking for the mom and it just crumbles under him and he doesn't say bye to
Uh,
her.
Yeah.
That one, I mean, in just full transparency for the audience, I recorded my live reactions to this show originally, and I guess I didn't. I had clips from the episode up for too long, so it got the copyright block. But you would have seen me get teary eyed from that one scene where
Well,
the
dude,
family
it's so
dies and all the innocents
realistic,
die.
man. You can't save everyone.
Yeah,
That's so realistic, like
but
that
he doesn't save
baggage.
anyone. That's the thing,
No,
is he
that's
doesn't
what makes
save
it amazing,
anybody.
right? So my favorite scene in the show, and my favorite gore scene, is that pilot.
The pilot,
He
yeah,
saves the pilot,
he thought
right?
he did.
Just to watch his father kill him like that.
Yeah,
And in my mom was like, dude, he's probably thinking like, why couldn't I just saved him. How could I not stop my dad from doing that?
yeah. No, but yeah, and you know
And
what?
his dad will. I feel like his dad's always going to have that kind of like power, or like that power of just submission over him. Just like you have that, that father son dynamic. Like that son always listens to his dad.
My favorite scene, though, I think, if I'm looking at it completely, is when Omni Man is punching Invincible. They show the first few punches, he's knocking out his teeth, and then they show a punch and it zooms out and there's a loud noise. And they show another punch and he zooms out, there's a larger noise, and then it's just the mountain. It goes boom, 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 and it's like the mountain zooming out, and then it cuts to his flashback. I really liked that effect with the mountain zooming out with each
Oh,
punch,
of how hard he's hitting him and
because
how it's making the mountain
he's hitting
quake.
so hard that it seems like the mountain's shaking as a result of it, but it no longer zooms in on Invincible's face because it leaves it to your imagination to be
Of
like how
how,
much
yeah,
damage he's doing to him.
yeah, it's a cool
But
scene.
dude, I could say, I mean, looking back at this whole season, amazing. This show, I was excited for it. I had always heard great things about this comic. I had said in a previous episode that I purposefully avoided reading the comic because last year I sat down ready to read it, and as I was doing my research on it, I saw that there was going to be a show coming out this year. So I was like, you know what? I might as well wait. And I'm glad that I did because this show was executed phenomenally. It's captivating. The voice acting is great. The animation has that Saturday morning cartoon style, but also gets
Adult.
into like crazy detail of
It's
gore and
super.
violence.
It's well, dude. It's super adult. It's super mature. And in terms of like emotion, it's like a roller coaster, man. Like there's characters you love, characters you hate. It shows the true humanity that superheroes are not quote unquote superheroes. They're humans. They
Yes.
will they make mistakes. They won't save everybody. And in actuality, man, they'll save. They'll go out and do their job and maybe do like a 15% success rate,
No, you're
right?
absolutely right. I think that this show and this universe is the most authentic representation
Yeah.
of what a real world with superheroes would look like.
Especially the government, right? Like
Yep.
Cecil, like the one of my favorite scenes in the entire series is when Cecil brings Mark down and it's just a white room.
Lights on, lights off. That was
Lights off, lights on.
badass.
I'm like, dude, that is so crazy because a government would do something like that.
That was like straight from
He's
X
like,
Files.
we only make you see what we want you to see.
Yes.
Right? Like, yes, we don't have the powers that you guys have, but that's Amanda Waller status in my book.
Yes, that was cool. That
Right?
was really
Like
cool.
we are still the government, we still have power, and we will still do whatever it takes to survive. And he said that all this stuff in this room, you are still the only thing we have
Yes.
against your dad.
Yeah, it's true.
And that's scary. Dude, that's a scary thought. Yeah, dude, we're hedging all our bets on this guy. Who's a kid? Who's essentially a 17-year-old kid?
Yeah. Whose next plan is just to finish high school?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm just going to finish high school.
Yeah, man. I mean, this is exciting. It was a satisfying ending to the first season. There was enough of a hangover to keep us just wanting and waiting for next season, but also enough closure to where you weren't angry at the ending of it. So
Yeah. I
I'm
feel
I'm
bad for
happy.
Deb. I feel bad for the mom, man.
Yeah.
Like she puts on that strong face for when he walks in, he just sees her bawling her eyes
Yep.
out. Her whole life's been, and that's again,
Upended.
dude, that's that
All of it. Yeah.
human aspect of the show that I just love. I was like, it's not like, Marvel or DC, even Dark Horse, where there's always like, I want to say a bubble of fiction, and I guess it's all fiction, but that bubble, like, that it just will never resonate to you. It's like that, oh, this will never happen to me. It's like, dude, this just like, this mom's just torn. She
Yeah.
just watched. She knows that her son's been put in the hospital from her husband, right? Who's just left them all,
Yep.
right?
And talk about like a reveal for somebody you spent the last 20 years of your life with, and you find out. I mean, we've already talked. We think that he actually does care about her, but you find out like, wait, you were planning world domination all along?
All the
I'm just a
time, yeah.
tool to meet that end.
Yeah, dude, it's
That's
insane,
wild.
dude. I really really enjoyed the show. I hope they add different superhero characters into the
Yeah.
next season. I think that'd be a really cool twist because yeah, I think the Guardians of the Globe are cool, but when they were forming the Guardians of the Globe, I think they could have picked better people. I'm not a big fan of some of them, but
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Like, have we seen what Black Samson's real powers are?
I think he's got some electrical powers.
It hasn't been made clear to me yet. Anyways,
Yeah.
we saw what he could do with the Iron Man suit, but
Yeah.
there's they've shown that they are very dedicated to making those significantly important characters to the series because a good portion of every episode follows them and their journey as well. So
Well, and then one of the last things about that episode is when Rexplode goes to they just came back, man. They were cleaning up the city, right?
mhm.
They came back, they're all wiped out, and he sees that blood on the pillar, and he's like, well, I'm not done yet.
Yep.
And he goes and they left that up there as a reminder, right? And Black
Yeah.
Samson says, hey, put that down. And when they all get up, they're like, yo, you're not going to do that. He's like, now we're a team.
Yeah.
Now we're looking out for each other's back. And you and I both know that that's all it's about is I've your back and you've got my back, and nothing else matters at that point in time.
I
And I was
liked
like,
it.
dude, that was a really cool role. I think he's a really cool character. I like the voice actor that plays him. He's done a
I
lot
like
of
all
great
the
stuff.
voice actors, man. Yeah, everything's been great so far.
Yeah, there's some people that I just didn't know until I had to look them up. But again, dude, I think J.K. Simmons do a great job. I think, dude, I'm just so hooked. I'm sad that I have to wait so long
So do
to
I.
see another
I'm
episode
like
of this
really
show, man.
hoping. I'm really hoping that season 2 comes sooner rather than later.
Yeah,
And
dude, it's such a great show, and I hope,
yeah,
honestly, there's more episodes than just 8.
for the next season. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, man,
I
I
agree.
like that old school '90s feel when there was like, season 1, 25 episodes, right? It just because you kept it going, man.
That's true, but with animated shows that at least lately, the only shows that seem to do that are like the anime shows because
Yeah.
the Netflix shows they want to give you that 8 to 10 episodes. Disney Plus, hell, with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we only got
It was like 6.
six episodes.
Yeah, but you know what, dude? What I've been seeing, and I think it's more of I guess it's a new thing for movies and TV, is that they're investing more in each episode,
Yes.
right? Like back in the day when you watched like Batman, it was the same thing with different villain every episode, right?
Yeah.
And then you had
Yeah.
those cool like 2 to 3 episode series of the continuous storyline. That was cool, right?
And it's so great that they've chosen an intellectual property that is done. The comic is done. So they don't have to give us filler or anything like that. They can just progress along the storyline.
Yeah.
So that's exciting for sure.
Yeah.
But
Also,
yeah.
another question I have written down here. I forgot that we didn't get back to it. Remember when he flies off
Yes.
and to go meet Alan the alien, Seth
Yes.
Rogen's guy, and his clothes just disintegrate off of him? I was like, is that a power? Is that him just moving so fast his clothes can't withstand it? And
I think
he's
that's moving
stuck in his
so
uniform
fast through the
now.
atmosphere that they ignite. Yeah.
Yeah, he's stuck in that uniform now. So that kind of shows like that, cool, another realistic thing. Like, yeah, dude, he lost his clothes. And he's just got to go home in his outfit. And I don't know. I thought it was cool they had a special guy to make the outfits. Like,
Yes.
they're not legit regular cloth. It's like specialized material.
And that's his thing.
And that reminded me of what was her name? Edna from the Incredibles.
Yes.
Because
every
time I see Invincible's uniform, it reminds me of Mr. Incredible's old
old uniform before they got the new family
blue
ones.
and black uniform. So, dude, I don't know. I thought this was a great series. I enjoyed reviewing with you. You know, we love talking about this stuff all the time. And I hope that gets more fans, man. I hope this thing keeps going. And, next thing we'll see is a live action movie of this. That would be insane.
We'll see, dude. We'll see. I don't doubt it, just because on Netflix we've started to see that they're going to be creating some live action versions of animated shows. So I'm hoping that we get that same treatment here. You know what though, it's fun with this being a cartoon too, because they can do crazier stuff.
Yes, you can get away with more. Like the gore. The gore in this show is just insane,
not do
man.
the same gore live action.
Yeah, you cannot show a dad reaching out to his daughter and then the pillar just falling and flattening him.
Yeah, no.
Like, you just can't show that.
But yeah, man, thank you for joining me for this. This was, I think, if the audience can't tell, we're both very hyped on this show. It was very fun to watch and follow along with. It is kind of a bummer knowing that it's going to be, a year and hopefully not much more than that before we get this next season. But, even through COVID, even through the delay of everything with COVID, we are now seeing kind of a lot of things being thrown at us at home that we can watch from home pretty quick.
Yeah, we're seeing a pickup of new stuff coming out. Yeah.
Yeah, just to date this episode, next week Disney Plus releases The Bad Batch. We got Loki coming out soon. Supposedly a new season of Stranger Things is coming soon for Netflix. So there's going to be a lot of stuff coming out soon.
Yeah, they're coming out with Blade 2. Blade's already started filming.
There you go. Nice.
The new Blade. So, yeah, dude, I think we're going to have a lot of cool stuff to watch and review. Again, so far, I think out of all things, and I've watched Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we watched pretty much everything the same. But this has probably been my favorite to and you know what? I never knew what day it was coming out. So every day I would just go on Amazon Prime and check, is there a new episode? Is there a new episode? And dude, it's just, I couldn't wait for the show.
Yeah, we're not halfway through the year yet, but I can't imagine there's going to be anything hotter than Invincible this year. Invincible was killer.
Hands down. And you know what? I don't really, and this is like a hidden gem because there's still not a lot of people that know about this show that
you're right.
I want to know about this show. I'm like, dude, you gotta watch this show.
You're the only person I know.
It rivals like anything because the big thing now is Disney Plus and Marvel, right?
Yeah.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier, WandaVision, Loki. In my mind, in my opinion, dude, this show blew Falcon and Winter Soldier out of the water. Winter Soldier is one of my favorite Marvel characters, but blew it away.
Yeah,
I was like, dude, great villains, great storyline, great action.
I think in my season ending review of that, I gave that a 7. This is the season ending review of Invincible, and I have to say, Invincible season 1 on a scale of 1 to 10 for me is right there at like a 9.5, like just
Yeah.
right high.
Yeah. I was gonna say, this episode, the last episode for me, not being a rookie scorer, I'd say it's like a 9.1 in total of the season, dude. I'm around like a 9.5 because, dude, honestly, one of my favorite episodes, episode 1, because of that ending, man. That ending made it like a 9.6
It
in my
just
book.
took you by
It just
surprise
took you
completely.
by surprise, threw you for a loop, and I was like, I'm into this show. I'm hooked.
Yeah,
Because then
agreed.
I was like, dude, making the new Guardians of the Globe was super cool, and seeing how there's different kind of subsets. Like, yeah, we're this team, we're like a C class team, and
Yeah.
they're C class because of their abilities, what they can do, and the crime they deal with. Like that's so true in everything in the world. I'm like, yeah, this is a cool show.
It's pretty great, and it's kind of funny seeing too because they do some things in the show that are kind of unintentionally comical. Like if you remember, the team that becomes the new Guardians of the Globe, the Teen Titan-esque team that Adam
Yeah.
Eve and all of them are from, they're called the Teen Team. Like really, that's it, just the Teen Team. But anyways, hey Chris, thank you for joining me for this. I hope to
No,
have
my
you on
pleasure,
again
man.
with
I had
whatever
a
we
great
review
time with
next.
this. Yeah. Yeah, man,
So,
this is great.
all right. And yeah, that was our review for season 1, episode 8 of Invincible. Phenomenal. We loved it. Can't wait for
Yeah,
season
I
2.
hope the audience liked it. Leave comments of what you guys thought about the episode, and it'd be great, man. Check you guys later.
All right, guys. Later.